Zdravo guys, what is up from rainy and cold Bitola? We're here in the southwestern part of Macedonia to discover probably Macedonia's most historic city. You've got 4,000 years of history, people living here. You've got Ottomans, you've got Greek history, Greek ruins. You've got kind of everything here. So we're walking down Chirok Sokak in central Bitola. We've got lots to see, lots to show you. You're only gonna get it here from Tales from the Road. Let's do it. So we start our journey in Bitola at the oldest point. This is called Heraclea Lyncestis. I really probably said it wrong, but here it is. This is an ancient site, super ancient, founded originally by Phillip II of Macedon. This was kind of like one of the ancient capitals, one of the ancient important places during the Macedonian Empire, something like that. This place was named for Heracleus, who is basically one of the greatest Greek gods that there was. He was the son of Zeus. He was the kind of god of gymnasium or of sport. And he was also the one divine son of Zeus, so the divine god, the divine protector of society, which is pretty cool. So this is his city. This is 1.2 kilometers south of the modern city of Bitola, which is that way. And there was a drunk man in this hut who let us in for 0 dinars. So let's take this little free tour and learn some things. The city of Bitola is really important for Macedonia. One, because it's extremely beautiful and really good for tourism, but two, because this is like the most ancient kind of place you're gonna find in Macedonia. Although it is next to Greece, obviously, and Greece has a ton of ancient ruins from the Greek empires over the millennia, there's not so much in Macedonia, as it were. We're in the southwestern part of the country, so we're probably only about like less than an hour from the Greek border by bus. So you're kind of getting kind of close to the region, but there really isn't that much. Macedonia, for whatever reason, when we were taking the bus from Skopje here, it cut through these mountains, really beautiful, but the weird part was that there was just nothing. It was just mountains and valleys and a road until we hit a city called Prilep, which is about almost 2.5 hours away from Skopje by bus. Very strange, very empty country, but nice. So here we go, Heraclea Lyncestis. Let's see what's going on here. So Philip II of Macedon, the guy who caused a lot of controversy with his statue being built in Skopje, along with Alexander the Great, was actually the father of Alexander the Great. He was around something like 300 BC, kind of like during the height of what we would call the Greek expansion. Alexander the Great conquered, almost half the known world at the moment when he was reigning, but Philip II of Macedon really set all of this up. This city here, Heraclea, it's got all of the kind of typical tropes you'd find in a typical Greek city. We've got a really well-preserved, pretty epic amphitheater, super beautiful. You would have seen plays and fights and gladiator stuff, maybe. I would hope. Maybe not gladiator stuff anyway. Dramas, comedies, epics, all from here. You can imagine the people sitting. I love coming to old places like this. It's so epic. But what I also love about this kind of old stuff, well, really old stuff, is that there's also this modern backdrop of current day Macedonia just behind it. You can see little churches, you can see kind of like these modern village homes, and then over here, massive factory. It's like totally defunct. So it's kind of weird to see the super ancient stuff in the context of modern power lines and everything like that. We've also got this dog just chasing me around. My one weird thing about World Wonders is that the Colosseum is always listed. And I went to the Colosseum, and it's very nice. But then you go to places like this, they get no credit, no recognition. It's even older than the Colosseum by like quite a bit. I think some of this is probably restored. This is too flat and too nice and too new. But it's just really impressive, all the things you can find in the Balkans. There's just so much endless history here, and you have so many beautiful sights to see. If you have a chance, you have to come to the Balkans. Do it! I also have to say, absolutely atrocious weather here. in Macedonia, basically since I've been here. It's been 1 week of sun, and we're talking, this is April, this was filmed on April 2nd, and it's 3 degrees and cloudy and rainy. Just terrible. But I'm doing it for you guys. We're out here. So just too, as COVID has made all the tourists basically abandon this place. It was once abandoned by the Macedonians in the 6th century AD, apparently. Kind of like hanging out, laying to rest. A part of history that can only be relived by these beautiful ruins and relics. Very, very, very impressively kept up. I mean, you know, if this is authentic, pretty impressive. So more than just seeing ancient Heraclea, people also travel to Bitola to enjoy the old town here. You've got this really beautiful kind of Eastern European style old town. This main drag is called Chirok Street, which is kind of connects the old bazaar to the park, which is like back this direction. Beautiful little park. And really cool cafes, lots of stuff to do around here. And actually on a Saturday night, completely full of people, pretty bumping, pretty cool. If the weather was not so terrible today, I'm sure there'd be a lot more people out enjoying coffee and what the city has to offer. So while you're walking along this main street, you may notice that there are lots of flags of different nations. So in front of me, I see France and Turkey, behind me, Serbia, Albania, lots of different countries. This city was actually the capital of Rumelia, which was basically the Ottoman Balkan kind of, the Balkans was a state of the Ottoman Empire. That's what Rumelia would be, and it was the capital, the last capital before this this area succumbed to the Ottoman kind of breakup. So this city was given the name the City of Counsels, and it was given that name because many foreign empires and powers had like embassies or consuls here, like representations of their country in the Ottoman Empire. It kind of developed in a totally different way than lots of other cities in current day Macedonia, which is why there's such a kind of old historical precedent going on here. And you can still find these consuls today, which is extra cool. For many, this city would be considered the most European looking city in Macedonia. It looks to me kind of like Prague or like Belgrade a bit. You get totally different style than what you would find in Greece or other places like that. And but you still have this Ottoman Empire presence. You can always find mosques everywhere you go. And since this was important for the Ottoman Empire, and it's been part of the Ottoman Empire since the 1300s, you're always going to have that connection to the Turkic past. Now we're in Magnolia Square, which is kind of the start of this Chirok Sokak, this kind of, you know, commercial area of the city. And here you can see the biggest and most prominent figure of the city of Counsels. This is the Russian consulate to Bitola. You can see all of the different styles that the buildings are in. Each consul got to build their own building, and so this one has always been since the Russian Empire probably, and it still is today, which I think is pretty cool. You've got the old clock tower of Bitola, super pretty. You've got, I believe this is Phillip II of Macedon. I don't want to say I'm 100% right. And then the two old mosques here. One's older than the other, but both really gorgeous. An interesting mix-up of old, of new, of empire, of Macedonia, and everything in between. Our story of Bitola continues to when Bitola was not called that, but by another name called Monastir. It was home to many things, but it was home especially to many beautiful buildings. So there's this old quarter. Unfortunately, you can see how Corona has taken a toll on what would just be a very typical tourist town here in Macedonia. You know, it's not a very well touristed country in general, but this part specifically, which is not the main shopping district, has become basically abandoned. One might say desolate. I'm here on a Sunday, so it might be a little bit different, but I mean, all things be equal, everything's closed, everything's shut. But you have these cool old buildings that have been here since the 1800s. This part of Macedonia gets the benefit of having a lot of old things because everything was mostly lost during that earthquake in 1963 in northern Macedonia here. But in the southern part, you still have this kind of old school vibe, which is pretty cool. We got some Greek. They call this part of the city the Old Bazaar, as it was once occupied by various, you know, like handicraft stores, sellers, traders. This used to be a huge hub for trade in the Ottoman Empire, as it was the capital, and a major point to stop on a trip to Istanbul east, and from here to the north to Belgrade, to Romania, to the German Empire. So you had all kinds of different stuff coming through these markets, through these cities, which is why I think it's so diverse, with the mosques, the churches, the different kinds of people, the culture, the architectural styles. Really, really interesting. It's too bad it's been reduced to this as it sits, you know, because of COVID, but all things being equal, still very pretty, very calm, and on a rainy Sunday, also very, very sleepy. The architectural style reminds me a bit of the kind of colonial houses you find in Singapore, in a weird way, with a little bit of Greek flair. There are all these row houses. It's very interesting, and you can see now bars, restaurants, all kinds of different stuff for a modern audience in a modern day Macedonia. Connected with what you guys just saw at the Ottoman Old Quarter, here we have actually the schoolhouse. This was a military academy where Ataturk, the basically founder of the modern Turkish state, studied. They have a really cool exhibition inside, with a lot of it was a big deal. This guy was a big deal. This was like the guy for Turkey. And today, even for all my Turkish people out there, they know that he is the guy that they look to when you think of Turkey and you're thinking of a guy. Ataturk is the one. So he studied here in the late 1800s. There was a huge Ottoman military force base probably around here. It was destroyed, I believe, after World War I, before World War II, as this place became de-Ottomanized. But Turks from all over the world still come to this building to see where it all started, for the modern Turkish state. This was also the front lines of the Ottoman we can call it civil war, but when the Ottoman Empire fell apart, when the Greeks and the other Balkan neighbors revolted against the Ottomans during World War I, towards the end of World War I. And so a lot of the buildings in this area and in this city were destroyed and lost to history, unfortunately. But we still have this. One of the funniest and weirdest parts about Macedonia is that they have casinos everywhere. I'm talking like everywhere. So here's a casino. Here's a casino. But the best part is that there's a chapel, beautiful little chapel, just in between this. So it's like sin, savior, back to sin. So guys, that is Bitola Monastir, an ancient Ottoman city, an ancient Greco Philip of Macedon city, and also a modern day Macedonian city. That's gonna do it for us. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. More history, food, culture videos coming at you soon. Hopefully the weather improves a little bit, because it is really dreary out here, really cold. My hands are freezing, but it is what it is. And we are heading to Ohrid, the gem, the jewel of Macedonia tomorrow. Very excited, so stay tuned for that. See you later, guys.